I used to leave the salon feeling worse than when I walked in, and I never told a single person that. Every stylist smiled, every mirror looked fine in the moment, and then I'd catch my reflection in a shop window an hour later and think, who is that? If you've ever felt like your hairstyle is quietly working against you instead of for you, this is exactly what we're fixing today. I've spent years researching the cuts, the colors, and the styling habits that age women over 50 without them realizing it, and more importantly, the exact fixes that reverse it. I researched the worst style and beauty mistakes and the best fixes for women over 50 so you get real results fast. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. I cover this every week. Part 1. The blunt bob that's cutting years off your face. Here's something almost nobody tells you when you ask for a classic bob at 60. The exact same cut that looked sharp and modern at 35 can pull your whole face downward 2 decades later. It's not the length that's the problem. It's the blunt, uniform edge sitting stiff along the jawline, and the way that hard line draws a horizontal shadow right where you least want one. I sat with this for years, convinced I just needed a better version of the same cut. I was wrong about the whole premise. Skin loses elasticity along the jaw and neck as we age, and a heavy one-length blunt edge does something specific and unkind. It sits exactly at the point where the jawline has softened, and it broadcasts that softness instead of lifting attention away from it. A stylist I spoke with called it the frame that fights the face. The bob isn't ugly. It's just aimed at the wrong target for where your face is now. Here's the fix, and I want you to say this to your stylist word for word. I want a soft textured bob with graduated layers through the ends, and I want the length to hit just below the jaw, not directly on it. That single shift, dropping the hemline half an inch below the jawline instead of directly at it, changes everything. It breaks the horizontal line that was drawing the eye straight to where the jaw meets the neck. Layering the ends softens the edge, so it moves instead of sitting like a shelf. And dropping it slightly lower elongates the whole lower face instead of shortening it. There's a second piece most women skip. Face framing pieces that are cut on an angle, longer at the front, shorter as they move back. Ask specifically for long layer face framing starting at the cheekbone. This does something a blunt bob can never do. It creates diagonal lines instead of horizontal ones, and diagonal lines lift. It's a small technical detail, but it's the difference between a cut that ages you and one that doesn't. I heard from a woman named Colette who'd worn the same chin-length blunt bob for almost 15 years. She brought a photo of the exact wording to her stylist, the soft graduated version with the angled face framing pieces. She told me 2 people at her next book club asked if she'd done something to her face. Nobody could name what. That's the tell that a cut is working. Nobody says great haircut. They say you look rested, or lit up, or somehow younger, and they can't explain why. The technical reason this works comes down to line direction. Horizontal lines, the kind a blunt bob creates, read as static and heavy to the eye. They stop movement. Diagonal and vertical lines, the kind soft layering and angled face framing create, read as lifted and active. Your eye follows a diagonal line upward almost automatically. That's not styling opinion. That's basic visual perception. And it's exactly why the same length of hair can either age you or refresh you depending on how the ends are cut. There's also a volume element most women don't think about. A blunt bob is usually cut with heavy, even weight throughout, which means it sits close to the head and emphasizes exactly how much the jaw and neck have changed over time. Layering removes weight strategically, mostly underneath, which lets the top and crown hold a little lift. That lift does real work. It draws the eye upward, toward the cheekbones and eyes, instead of downward toward the jaw and neck. It's a completely different visual story told with almost the same length of hair. Before, Colette's hair sat blunt and heavy at her jawline, a stiff horizontal line that emphasized every soft edge beneath it. After, that same length was reshaped with soft graduated layers and angled face framing pieces starting at the cheekbone, breaking the hard line into movement and lift. If you've been wearing a blunt bob because it feels safe and familiar, I understand that completely. But safe and familiar isn't the same as flattering, and there's a second cut almost as common as the bob that's doing something even sneakier to how people read your face. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is next, and why it's often recommended by well-meaning stylists who don't realize what it's actually doing. Part 2. why long straight hair is working against you. Nobody wants to hear this one, because long hair feels like holding on to something. But past a certain point, hair that hangs straight past the shoulders with no shape does something most women never connect to: how tired their face looks by 4 p.m. It pulls everything down. Literally. The weight of long, unshaped hair drags at the roots, flattens the crown, and drops the whole visual line of your face downward with it. I recognized this in my own mirror before I recognized it as a pattern. I kept growing my hair out because shorter felt like giving something up. What I didn't realize is that gravity doesn't care how attached you are to the length. Straight, heavy hair with no internal shape simply falls, and everything it's attached to visually falls with it. The fix isn't cutting it all off, and I want to be clear about that because plenty of women hear long hair ages you and panic. The fix is internal shape. Tell your stylist exactly this. I want to keep the length, but I need long layers cut starting at the cheekbone, with the interior thinned so it has movement, not weight. That phrase, interior thinned, matters. It tells the stylist you don't want the outline shortened. You want the internal weight removed so the hair can actually move instead of hanging like a curtain. What that technique does structurally is redistribute where the weight of the hair sits. Right now, all that weight sits at the very ends, pulling straight down. Long layering moves weight up through the mid-lengths, which does two things at once. It takes pressure off the roots so the crown can hold natural lift again, and it lets the ends curve or move slightly instead of hanging in a flat sheet. The result reads as fuller and more alive, even though you haven't added a single strand of hair. There's a snapback moment I heard about from a woman named Diane, who'd worn the same waist-length straight style for almost 2 decades because her late husband had loved it that way. She finally asked her stylist for exactly this: long interior layers, cheekbone start face framing, and kept the same overall length. Her daughter, seeing her 3 weeks later, said she looked like she'd gotten more sleep. Diane hadn't slept any differently. Her hair was simply lifted off her face for the first time in years. There's a second layer to this fix that most women skip because nobody explains why it matters. A soft round brush blowout technique focused specifically at the crown and roots, not the ends. Ask your stylist to show you, or show you once and repeat it yourself at home, how to lift the roots forward and slightly away from the head while blow drying, rather than pulling everything straight back. That root lift is what keeps long layered hair from collapsing flat again by midday. Without it, even a great haircut will fall right back into the same heavy, flattened line within a few hours. The visual mechanics here are worth understanding, because they explain why this single change makes such a visible difference. Hair that lies flat against the head creates one long, unbroken vertical line straight down the face, which elongates in a way that reads as tired rather than youthful past a certain age. Hair with lift at the root and movement through the mid-length breaks that unbroken line into shape, which reads as energy. It's the same principle as posture. Someone standing tall with shoulders back reads as more vital than someone slouched, even if their actual features haven't changed at all. Your hair does the same visual work for your face. Before, Diane's hair was long, flat, and straight, weight pulling everything downward with no internal movement. After, that same length carried long interior layers starting at the cheekbone with lifted roots at the crown, giving the exact same length visible life and shape. So if you've been holding on to length because it feels like part of who you are, keep it. Just stop letting it hang there doing nothing for you. There's one more habit, though, and this one isn't about the cut at all. It's about color, and it might be the single most common mistake I see, because it looks completely reasonable at first glance. Part 3. The color mistake hiding in plain sight. Here's the mistake almost no one flags, because it doesn't look like a mistake. It looks like maintenance. Flat, single process color, one solid shade applied uniformly from root to tip, is one of the most common things I see aging women who otherwise have great cuts. And the reason is almost nobody explains why it happens. As hair loses natural pigment and grows in gray or silver, the strands also change in texture and reflectivity. Solid, single-tone color sits on top of that changed texture like a flat coat of paint. It doesn't move with the light the way hair used to when it had natural variation in it. From a few feet away, flat color reads as slightly artificial, slightly heavy, in a way that's hard to name but easy to sense. The fix is a technique called low-maintenance dimensional color, and here's exactly what to say. I want soft low-contrast baby lights or a gentle balayage, 2 to 3 tones lighter than my base, placed to catch light around my face. The key phrase there is low contrast. You're not asking for chunky highlights or a dramatic color change. You're asking for subtle variation, several tones close together rather than one flat tone, so the hair catches and reflects light the way it naturally did with more youthful pigment variation. This matters more than people expect because of how light behaves on a single color surface versus a multitonal one. Flat color absorbs light evenly and gives almost nothing back, which is part of why it can look slightly dull or heavy under normal indoor lighting. Dimensional color, with several close, soft tones woven through, catches light differently across each strand, creating tiny points of natural-looking brightness throughout the hair. That subtle shimmer effect is what reads as healthy and alive rather than flat and applied. There's a second detail that makes an enormous difference and costs nothing extra: where the color is placed. Ask specifically for placement concentrated around the face and at the crown, the areas that catch the most natural light and sit closest to your features, rather than an even application throughout. This is sometimes called face framing dimension, and it does targeted work exactly where your eye and everyone else's eye naturally goes first. I want to tell you about Rosalind, who'd colored her hair the exact same flat medium brown for over a decade, because it was simple and predictable. She finally asked for soft baby lights concentrated around her face, 2 tones lighter than her base. At her granddaughter's birthday party a month later, someone she hadn't seen in years asked if she'd changed something with her skin. She hadn't touched her skincare routine at all. The dimensional color was reflecting light back onto her face in a way flat color never had, which softened everything about how her complexion read in photos and in person. There's also a maintenance advantage worth knowing, because it changes how often you're back in that salon chair. Flat, single-process color has a hard demarcation line as your natural gray grows in at the root, which means visible regrowth within 3 to 4 weeks. Dimensional, multitonal color blends much more forgivingly as it grows out, because the variation in tone camouflages the new growth instead of contrasting sharply against it. Most women who switch stretch their appointments from monthly to every 8 to 10 weeks, which the color itself effectively pays for over a year. If you've been getting the same flat color appointment for years because it's simple, I understand the appeal completely. But simple and flattering aren't the same thing. And this one change, without cutting a single inch of hair, changes how your whole face reads in natural light. Before, Rosalind's hair was one flat, uniform medium brown with no tonal variation, and a hard root line. After, that same base carried soft baby lights placed around the face and crown, catching light and softening her whole complexion. Cut and color both matter, but there's one more habit, and it has nothing to do with either. It's about how you're drying and finishing your hair every single day. And it might be quietly undoing all the good work above before you even leave the house. Part 4. The styling habit undoing everything above. This is the one that surprises women most, because it happens every single morning without anyone questioning it. Blow-drying hair straight back, directly off the face, in the same direction every time, is one of the quietest ways to age your whole look, and almost no one connects it to their styling routine because it feels neutral, like you're not really doing anything to your hair at all. Here's why it matters. Hair that's dried flat, straight back off the face pulls the eye immediately to the hairline and forehead with nothing to soften the transition. There's no shape breaking up that line, no movement drawing attention elsewhere. It's the styling equivalent of the flat bob and the flat color we already talked about, except this one happens fresh every morning regardless of how good your cut or color actually is. The fix is a simple change in direction, and it costs nothing beyond a few extra minutes. Dry your roots forward and slightly to the side first, away from your natural part. Then finish by directing the rest of the hair back into its normal shape. Ask your stylist to show you this once, or look up root lift blow-dry technique, directional drying, and practice it for a week. That initial forward and side direction at the root creates lift and a soft break at the hairline instead of one flat, unbroken sheet of hair pulling straight back. The reason this small shift matters so much comes down to how your eye reads a hairline. A perfectly flat, uniform hairline with hair pulled straight back creates a hard visual boundary, almost like a frame, that draws attention directly to the forehead and any lines or texture there. A softly lifted, Slightly broken hairline does the opposite. It creates a gentle transition zone instead of a hard edge, which softens everything beneath it, including fine lines at the forehead and temples, without you doing a single thing to your skin. There's a finishing detail that makes an even bigger difference than most women expect. A cool shot burst from the blow dryer for the final 10 to 15 seconds, aimed at the roots specifically. This locks the lift you just created in place, so it holds through the day instead of collapsing back to flat within an hour of leaving the house. Most women skip this step entirely because it feels like an unnecessary extra, but it's genuinely the difference between volume that lasts and volume that's gone by lunch. I heard about a woman named Colette's neighbor, Marguerite, who dried her hair the exact same straight-back way for as long as anyone could remember. She tried the directional root technique for 1 week, just changing the angle at the roots and adding the cool shot finish. At a family dinner that weekend, her son-in-law told her she looked different, in a good way, and couldn't say what had changed. Her cut hadn't changed. Her color hadn't changed. Only the direction of the air hitting her roots had changed, and it was enough to shift how her entire face read. What ties all 4 of these together, the bob, the length, the color, and this drying habit, is the same underlying principle. Flat, uniform, static styling choices age a face, and lifted, dimensional, directional choices soften it. None of these fixes require dramatic change. None of them ask you to look like someone else. They simply redirect the same hair you already have, cut the way it's already growing, colored close to your own natural tone, so that it works with your face instead of quietly working against it. That's really the whole story behind every single fix in this video. It was never about doing more. It was about redirecting what you already had, more precisely, with language you can say out loud in a salon chair and know exactly what you're asking for. Before, Marguerite's hair was dried completely flat, pulled straight back with a hard, unbroken hairline. After, that same hair carried soft root lift from directional drying and a cool shot finish, breaking the hairline into a softer, more natural shape. You now have all 4 of the pieces that were quietly working against you, and none of them required starting over. You now know exactly what to say in that salon chair. The soft graduated bob instead of the blunt one, the interior long layers instead of flat weight, the dimensional color instead of flat tone, and the directional root lift instead of pulling everything flat back. That's not a small list. That's 4 separate things quietly working against you. Fix with language you can say out loud tomorrow. So tell me in the comments, which one of these 4 were you doing without even realizing it? I read every single one. Next week I'm covering the exact accessories that are doing the same quiet aging work your hairstyle was, and most women have no idea. Like this video, subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path, and I'll see you in the next one.